All right. Good morning, Chad. How are you?
How you doing, Neil?
I'm doing good. New episode here. Want to remind folks to like and subscribe on YouTube. That's where a lot of our views are coming now. We've got a cool guest with a great idea that she is pushing here. So let's run the theme and get back to it.
Let's get started.
Recorded live from Louisville, it's Talk About Town, the Louisville podcast. And now, your hosts, Neil Cox and Chad Hennessy.
Hey, Ron White here. I'm nowhere to be found. You're listening to Talk About Town, like I give a...
All right. We're here in the studio today with Shannon Fauver. I think I said that right this time. And Shannon is an attorney here in Louisville, but she is running for judge.
Yes.
And her platform is that she wants to introduce a homeless court to Louisville. I think this is a fantastic idea. She reached out to us. I said, well, let me hear what it is you're talking about, and said, well, that's absolutely a great idea.
Yeah, Shannon, we appreciate you being on the show. It's fall is here. It is absolutely gorgeous outside.
Oh my gosh, it's great.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was at Louder Than Life last night, as I believe you were as well.
I was there for a few days this weekend.
And the weather and just everything, it was really cool. So, Shannon, you want to tell us a little bit about yourself, and then we'll get into your campaign in homeless court?
Sure. Of course, Shannon Fauver. I'm Louisvillian. My family's been here since 1873, actually. Ooh. So I am a Louisvillian no matter if you leave, everybody comes back, as we know. I'm practicing law for 18 years, and I have had my own legal practice the entire time. I have my own practice because I was pregnant with my second child and had a 2-year-old when I got sworn in, so I didn't want to miss all their things. So I missed like 4 or 5 field trips their entire lives.
Oh, wow.
That's
great.
Yeah, now they're 18 and 21, so...
what kind of law do you practice, like your day job?
Mostly Social Security and bankruptcy, traffic court, civil rights, whatever my clients need.
Gotcha. And then you're running for what judge on which circuit or
which circuit? Yeah.
No, district court.
District court.
It is district court, but it's not a district like where you live. It's all Jefferson County. They just had to number them somehow.
Right.
Okay.
I think district court includes stuff like family court. Mm-hmm. No. Is that circuit?
That circuit.
Okay. So what all's in district?
Juvenile court, probate, mental inquest court. Trying to go through everything. DUIs, traffic court, all the things that people usually come into the system for the first time.
Very good.
If you get in a lot of trouble, you're in the other building, or if you're in a divorce, you're in the other building. So.
Okay. So is circuit generally bigger things? Okay. I think I had them backwards.
That's okay.
I learned things doing this show.
That's okay. Everybody gets confused. There's a lot of them. There's 43 judicial races on the ballot this year in Jefferson County.
43?
Only 17 are contested.
Interesting.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
How's the campaign going so far?
I think it's going well. As I didn't go to the Louder in Life. I had a Star Trek trivia fundraiser last night. That was a lot of fun for me because I'm a Trekkie. So.
I think that's cool. We're both of us. We were talking earlier, but we're both big Star Wars fans, but have a healthy respect for Star Trek, of course.
Definite appreciation. Well, we'll be asking a little bit about that in more detail here in a little bit. Yeah.
Yep.
Cool.
So for your campaign, you're wanting to introduce homeless court to Louisville.
Right.
So I assume this is sort of like family court, like a specialized...
Is specialized. They're called specialty courts. Mm-hmm. Just like drug court when it first started, they're all specialty courts. Anything that's not already in the system. We have business court. We have mental inquest court. Those are all specialty courts. Actually, Frankfurt has to approve them, and then the judges here will have to approve them too because they'll be volunteering on it also.
So, I know there's some around the country.
Yes.
We don't have one. How many do you think there are?
Well, the American Bar Association, there's 70. I can't confirm that because they also list Veterans Court here as a homeless court. It's not the same thing.
Right.
So as far as I can tell, there's 37 across the country. 7 are in California.
What's the closest wise proximity, would you say?
Chicago.
Okay.
So I'm thinking rather than throw someone in handcuffs, take them to jail,
Right.
they would be processed through homeless court.
Right. If they're being arrested for something like being on the street, you have to change clothes, you have to shower, you have to eat someplace. And these are things that you shouldn't be going to jail for. You align them with services. And I talked to somebody at LA County. There's actually federal funding for this. So it won't be coming from our pocket. The federal government has that money sitting there.
That's even better.
Yes.
So my day job, I sell real estate. So housing and homelessness is something that I give a lot of thought to. I think the economy is getting imbalanced where it's harder for people with mid to low income to get a house. I think the wages aren't keeping up with inflation, housing prices, all that. So I think that the homeless epidemic is just exploding. And I know, California, it's notorious how bad it is. We're in Louisville here. We're kind of insulated from the wild stuff of the coast, I think. But when it gets here, you know that it's bad because it's gotten all the way here, I guess.
Yes, because just driving from Clifton, because that's where my office is, here I saw 3 or 4 homeless encampments.
Really?
Yes. And I believe the majority of people that are homeless, they don't want to be homeless. There are some people that will stay homeless because I've had enough Social Security clients, they don't want to be inside. But most people don't want to be there. They want to get back into housing. If they lose a job, they lose their housing, they don't have any place to go.
Is there, obviously it's one thing from owning a home, of course, but just having a residence, whether it be Section 8, whether it be just different rental properties, apartments, whatever it may be, is there not an abundance of space, or is there a lack of, I don't want to call it education, but a lack of awareness possibly for some people how to get in?
There are a lot of empty housing facilities, but I'm not sure the city hasn't taken them over. I mean, technically, even if the city took them all over, I don't think that's enough housing for the city because we have so many homeless people. But a lot of people, there's not a lot of shelters that take in families either. So if a family is on the street, there's very few places they can go.
Do you have an estimate of the number of homeless in Louisville?
No, sorry.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
it's got to be hard. I know they go out and do the count
Right.
sometimes, but
It's usually in the middle of winter, and I haven't heard the one from last year.
The one that's heartbreaking. I mean, of course, it's heartbreaking no matter what city, state, all over the country, of course. But, one of the things we pride ourselves, when you live here in Jefferson County or Kentucky for that matter, is we get all 4 seasons.
Yes.
Summer is hot.
yep.
And winter is cold.
Yeah.
I mean, that's where it gets we're approaching very worrisome times.
Yeah, I am glad that a lot of my clients still have, they used to be called Obama phones, and I didn't realize they were still around. They are, because I had a lot of homeless clients that they would call me once a month so I know they're alive when they're trying to get their disability. And when they get disability, then they could also usually get housing at that point. So that a lot of people, that was a bigger thing. The medical care and the housing was the biggest part of them getting disability.
Well,
And I know drug abuse plays a huge part in homelessness. I was listening to something recently. It's like they were giving out the opioids there as medicine, like nothing. Just oh, you got a headache here. For a while, they cracked down on that, and a lot of people turned to heroin because of that. And then, I mean, if you're strung out on heroin, and this, I know people that have struggled with it. This is not just something I know nothing about, but
unfortunately, it's not something you can just pick up and put down. It's,
That's right.
Once you get hooked, it's a battle.
yeah. And so I know that contributes to the homelessness quite a bit too. Does homeless court address drug abuse as well?
Well, right now, it's still an idea because it works differently around the country. In theory, I'll be working with Judge Burke because she runs drug court, and she's done that for a really long time. She does a great job with it. And they have, graduation ceremonies and stuff when you go through the program. So it's not just you just go in and leave. You have to go through a process. And a lot of places where across the country, homeless court actually when they come into the facilities, they will be referred because they'll have a warrant or something. So that way they don't have to go to jail. They come into court on whatever specific day we do, or they maybe can Zoom in because that'd be easier for people now. Most people can't get downtown. If you don't have bus fare, you don't have gas, you can't get down there. So they could Zoom into court, and then we could resolve whatever warrant they have for not showing up for court or whatever, and take care of that. And then they can get into whatever services they need. The idea is to realign the system so that everybody can get services when they need them, not go to jail.
So this is kind of just thinking out loud, really. How do we as a country or a state or a city address the exploding homeless crisis?
Unfortunately, there's not an answer, but that's why at least this will be part of the answer. It's not going to resolve everything, obviously. Even no matter what we do, it's not going to resolve all of it, but hopefully it'll help some of the people get housing, get whatever treatment they need so they will not be on the street. Because it's not good for anybody to be living on the street.
And if I'm not mistaken either, maybe I'm not making the right comment, but also there's not a ton of space in the jails, if I'm not mistaken either. Is that, even if one were to be arrested, they're probably just going to be put through and released. That's
true. And also we don't have enough correction officers. We don't have enough police officers. So a lot of things are happening where we've had people in custody dying like they're ODing. It's supposed to be the biggest detox facility in the state is our jail. Gotcha. It's not supposed to be, but that's what it is. Mm-hmm. But we don't have enough officers in there to make sure everybody's safe either. So it's dangerous for the officers and anybody that's in there. You're supposed to release anybody who's not a danger to the society, and they're going to come back. And statistically, most people are going to come back. I think that stats are 92% of people are going to come back, no matter if you put a bond on them or not.
Gosh. 90%.
92, yeah. And I was thinking if you arrest somebody off the street, they're going to lose all of their possessions because their stuff's on the street. Mm-hmm. So if you put them in jail, they're not going to have anything when they get out.
That's mind-blowing. Mm-hmm. I really, it's knock on wood there, but for the grace of God go I, right?
Yeah.
But I don't know. I struggle even imagining what that would be like and how we can even get somewhere. I think that we're kind of getting a perfect storm. We're still feeling the effects in the housing market from 2008. Yeah. People, they say, the recovery was X, Y, and Z. We didn't have a real recovery from that. Housing starts are way down. So that means there's fewer homes, driving up the price, mm-hmm. especially those lower, quote, affordable housing. And then, COVID was just exasperated the whole thing as well, putting people out of work, doing all stuff like that.
Just listen to Shannon. Of course, there's always reason. Somebody just doesn't say, "Hey, I think I'm going to be homeless today." It's always cause, effect. And there's situations that probably many can't control, mm-hmm. which is sad, especially from a family perspective for the young ones. Yeah. How are they supposed to get out of that?
Yeah, I don't know. So bravo for trying to introduce homeless court. I know that, that will attack the symptoms a bit. Yeah. And then we got to figure out the underlying foundational causes of this as well.
Yeah. You all should know this since, it's real estate. Across the city, they're raising everybody's rent. Like mm-hmm. I have a lot of clients that they're getting by on Section 8 or whatever, but they're not going to be able to because they're raising everybody's rates.
Yep, because mortgage rates are going up.
And I have family. I know. There's victims on all sides. Yeah. So many property owners were still paying their insurance. They were paying their taxes. They were paying their mortgage and getting zero rent for a long time too. Well, that's not quite fair either. No. So it is a big systematic problem.
My wife and I had a couple rental properties, mm-hmm. and we put them into service, one right before COVID and then one actually during. And it was a whole plan we had that we actually pivoted on because we were the ones that took the brunt of okay, well, you can't evict anybody. Right. Okay, well, tell that to my mortgage because it's still due.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think it's hard for everybody because a lot of people, not the companies that come in and take over property, but the people who own property here. like you all. It's hard on everybody because of that, because nobody was getting paid for any of this stuff. Because if I don't have an income, I can't pay you.
Yeah.
You know, so it's just, yes, it's really for the whole community.
Yeah, we sold ours. It's like, we're not going to
Do this anymore.
keep doing
Yeah.
this when someone can just say, no one has to pay you and they can live in your property for free.
Yeah.
Now, Shannon, as you're campaigning, do you have any, I don't want to call it like teammates, but I mean, do you have some maybe judges currently or some attorneys that are helping part of your push to help you get elected?
Judicial candidates and judges can't endorse.
Gotcha.
So, but I know a lot of judges, and I know, I'm out every day in the community. I've actually at 3 or 4 events usually every day, and they're not for me. They're just to see what we need. And that's actually when I decided to be a judge. You can see the homeless issue in the city. And actually why I became a lawyer is after Peace Corps, I decided I want to help people in whatever skill set you have. So after doing this for 18 years, I decided that we need new judges. After I've actually had a case to the Supreme Court because I filed the gay marriage case that went to the Supreme Court here that went with the other ones. So I've seen what it looks like if you don't have good judges. And since there was an open seat, that's where I'm running because I think that I would best help people. I don't care about the title. I want to be able to do the job.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
I like that. I complain from time to time and people say, well, run for office then. And I did in one of the little home rule class cities in Louisville. I won along with other folks and then moved away. So I was even before my term started. So I no longer qualified, but it's something that I do toss around every now and then for the reason that you're thinking is let's go do the job. Let's fix some stuff. The closer you get to local, I find the more easily you can
Have an
influence, have an impact, do things that matter to people.
I agree. Shannon, I mean, I know you made a quick comment earlier about a Star Trek a trivia night fundraiser,
Yes.
but can I ask, are there any fundraisers coming up that we can help push and put out there for the public?
Well, we might have another one because everybody had a good time, so we might do another Star Trek one, so I will let you know because Zanzibar did it last night for me, and they had a good time, so one of my friends was hosting it, and so we might do it where he works, but we have to find out if we can get a date. You can also follow me, on social media, but like I said, I just want to do the job, so that's why I want to get there because I want people, like, you don't complain, you do it. You get in there and fix it.
And I don't think we mentioned either these judge positions are nonpartisan.
Right, and they're countywide.
Countywide, you don't elect as a party candidate.
Right.
It's strictly the person fills the seat. End of story.
I would
Right.
love to see all politics go that way or elections go that way because
too.
Yes.
so many people do they vote blindly one way or another. So yeah.
Yes, and I think that's besides the fact that we're always on the ballot. I think that's part of the reason we are. That way it's not partisan. So we're always on the back, and so you have to go through and actually check it individually. You can't just blanketly check anything.
That's right.
But a bunch of them are uncontested, you said, right?
Yes, they realign court system, so every 8 years, every judge runs. So that's just how it ran this time. So 8 years, we'll have to do this again. Now, district court's every 4 years, so you have a littler election in 4 years.
But you're not running uncontested, correct?
Yes, I have an opponent.
Okay. We don't have to mention them
No,
if you don't want to.
that's okay. But it is an open seat, so we're not going after anybody who's on the bench right now.
Gotcha.
Very good.
Are there other events that you have coming up or thinking about? I mean, let's see, September's almost over.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So we're 6 weeks or so from.
I think it's 40-something. It was 40-something days. I don't know. Yeah.
Okay.
the
So
final stretch is coming.
I don't know. That's okay. I've been running for last year, so I'm
That's
almost
great.
done.
Is that actually, that was one of my questions. Did you actually file? Maybe it's been about a year.
I filed last January, actually.
Okay.
I did a letter of intent to say I was running.
Very good.
Yeah. It also kept me from everybody asking me for money when they were running last year. I'm like, I can't. I'm a candidate.
right.
I like that.
Yeah, I do too. Well, I guess before we wrap up too, just tell us about Shannon. Like, I always find that folks like to vote or work with people that they know, like, and trust. So, what would we like to know about you?
Okay. Well, I have been practicing law for 18 years. From traffic court to the U.S. Supreme Court. I've run my own solo practice for 18 years. My kids are now 18 and 21.
Girls, boys.
The boys both went to Atherton, just like I
Excellent.
did.
Great school.
My middle kid goes to Atherton right now,
Good.
and my youngest will.
I think they're the Ravens now. Is that correct?
They are.
They
That's
are.
right.
Yes, and I was on the site-based decision-making when we let the kids pick, actually. We didn't.
Oh,
We let
okay.
them pick.
I'm on site base for my youngest at Highland Middle.
Yes, because this is when you don't complain. You get in there and fix it, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
But as I've been doing this, like I said, for 18 years, I've had over 3,000 clients. And it's interesting because I've had 3 cases that impacted people. The Supreme Court one, obviously. I went after the rapist cop. It's a civil case. He just got out after 2.5 years. He was supposed to be in for 5 years, but he can never be an officer again. Because if we hadn't gone after him civilly, they never would have taken him off the force.
Right.
And then I do a bunch of Social Security cases in Eastern Kentucky. There was somebody who was defrauding the government, and they started pulling all the clients' cases back and making them have hearings again. So that's we call it the big mess, but it's Eric Kahn, which is funny for his last name.
Yeah.
Yes, but you can look that up. There's stories about it, but those are still going on, and they've been going on for years.
Dumb question. If when you're elected,
Yes, when I'm elected.
when you're elected, would you still be able to practice as an attorney, or you're putting that on pause? I suppose.
Well, I have to give my cases to other people, but
Gotcha.
since I do different kinds of law, I'll set like Social Security one person, bankruptcy to another,
Very good.
that kind of stuff. So
Okay.
Yeah.
So is that because you don't have time, or you're in a position where you could influence things with your case?
Yeah, we're not allowed to practice privately because of that. You could have another business. It can't be anything court related.
That
Gotcha.
makes sense.
That
Total
does
sense.
make sense.
But I can still speak at the Star Trek conventions.
There you
Yeah.
go. Tell us about, please. And
Yeah.
I know we were talking a little before we started the show. I'm just a pop culture nerd to begin with, whether it be the MCU, obviously Star Wars. And I was telling you, I do have a true appreciation of Star Trek. I just don't have the knowledge that I do for like Star
Yeah,
Wars. for
same.
instance. Yeah.
Well, I spoke at Nerd Night here a few years ago about Star Trek and law. Like, do we need lawyers in the future? And we have lawyers in the future on Star Trek. I spoke about what is a sentient being.
Okay.
Yes, at Starbase Indy, which is like around Thanksgiving, and then I did the one in Vegas last month. And so it was interesting because we don't know, but people I did my slides for 10 minutes. I'm like, y'all are supposed to talk, ask questions, and then for 30 minutes, lots of questions.
Q&A just
Yes,
took off.
that's what it's for.
I love it.
Yeah.
I do have a question for
Sure.
you. You may know this. The Chris Pine, they made 3 of them. Do you know if they're going to continue that, or is that?
They've been trying to,
Yeah.
but we keep hearing different scripts, different directors, different.
Boy, it took off like a bullet. It was a great rendition.
Right.
I loved how they tied it into the original with the, like we talked about canon and
Yes.
neat little. I heard that Tarantino wanted to do one. I just can't see that.
I can't
personally.
either.
Oh,
I was
that'd be cool though.
I would watch it, but
Yeah.
I don't like
Yeah.
Tarantino kind of films, so that's not my thing.
Right.
But I like Star Trek to be a happier version of the future, which is why I like it.
Mm-hmm.
We've survived World War III. We're doing better because they were talking about doing Section 31, which is like the CIA kind of version of Star
Mm-hmm.
Trek, and I don't really like that idea either, because that's not what I think of as Star Trek.
What's funny is when Shannon and I spoke on the phone to set this up, we were talking about Star Trek, and somewhere we got to World War III, and I'm like, well, we're almost there right now. So
Scary.
But no, in Star Trek timeline, it already happened. It was the 90s.
That's right.
So we've already survived that. Now it was a eugenics war, and we survived that, so we're already past that part. So hopefully, we're
Yeah.
fine
Hopefully it
now.
won't happen.
Right.
Yeah, knock on wood.
We'll all
I really
continue to
hope.
live long and prosper.
That's right.
That's right. Well, cool. Well, Shannon, before we go, let us know how people can find you, reach out to you,
Okay.
social media, website, all that stuff.
Okay, so on across all the spectrums or social medias, it's Fauver for Judge, spelled out FAUVERFOR JUGGE. I've never had to spell that all the way out. It's on Instagram, TikTok. I have a couple of TikTok videos. I'm not dancing. Facebook, and all that stuff it's all on there. But I posted one last week about how you register to vote. Click through the whole screen. This is exactly how you do it, so people can do it. They have until October 11th to register to vote.
And by the time this is out, you'll have probably 2 weeks or less than 2 weeks. So
Yes.
Or so. Yeah.
Or so, yeah.
Well, good luck, Shannon.
Thank you.
You got 2 votes here, so
Thank you.
good luck to you.
yeah, absolutely. Thanks.
Thank you. Thanks for having me come and talk about it.
Yeah.
Thank you for listening. You can reach us at neil@talkabouttownky.com. Neil is a realtor with Judah Real Estate Group. Chad is a partner at Insura Max. You can reach him at chadh@insuramax.com. Check us out on the web at talkabouttownky.com. Go Cards!